You. I think John Connally is a great man. I'd like to see him as the vice presidential nominee for Reagan or for Ford. I used to ask myself years ago, how could a man who nominated Lyndon Johnson for the presidency 3 times, and John Connally did, how could he ever be a conservative? But Connally's actions in joining the Republican Party and his statements over the past 2 years have convinced me he is a thoroughly conservative Republican, and I'm for him 100% for the vice presidential nomination.
Well, I'm not for Mr. Connally. It wasn't for Mr. Johnson on his record, and Mr. Connally's record very closely parallels Mr. Johnson. He was the right-hand bower, by the way, of Lyndon Johnson when Lyndon didn't carry, but stole the election in Texas in Jim Wells in Duval County.
Well, if Ford gets nomination, which I don't think he will, it's the only chance Ford has is to have somebody articulate like John Connally to carry the fight, because I don't think he can.
How do you feel about John Connally on the ticket?
On which ticket?
On either ticket.
Well, I tell you, I do believe that we Texans have oversold ourselves on Connally's possibilities, because he's not that well known across the nation outside of the Texas borders. And if he is known outside of the Texas borders, then I'm afraid that he still has the Watergate milk producer scandal attached to him. I don't really think that he'd be a blessing to the ticket at this point in time.
Shall appoint a committee on the vice presidency to be comprised of a chairman appointed by the chairman of the Republican National Committee, 2 representatives of the Republican National Committee elected and seconded by a majority of the delegates of not less than 5 states.
Do you think the Reagan people will carry the minority report?
At this point, I do not. I think it'll be a strong Reagan-Ford vote, and I feel like Ford has the votes over Reagan in this convention. As I understand it, a new Gallup poll came out today, which shows that President Ford is 10 points above what he was a few weeks ago against Jimmy Carter, and Reagan has not moved against Jimmy Carter. So I think this will be very helpful to the president in his nomination battle.
The Reagan people are defiantly optimistic about this convention. As Schweiker laid an egg, they'll eat it. Do the polls show that Ford is consistently ahead of their man? They'll denounce those polls as biased and inaccurate. The Reagan people have persuaded themselves that they can make enough waves in Kansas City to rock the boat in their direction, and it's not certain yet that they can't.